What's up, you guys? So, Wednesday afternoon, 75-year-old biker was hit by a 80-year-old school bus driver. So, I don't know. It just has me thinking. Like, I actually drove school bus for, what was it? It's probably 2 years, from like late 2015 to late 2017, and so I'm pretty familiar with like how well the school bus driving would suit like a retired person who has already retired from whatever career they had over the course of their life, and now they just want to make a little cash on the side and they want to stay busy. So I just want to throw out there right now that I'm all about people working as long as they want, as long as they want to work, as long as they have the desire to work. I mean, people should not be, limited to being able to go out and make an income. So I'm all about that. But I do believe the transportation industry is an industry you need to kind of take different measures with, because I mean, you're driving, right? You're on the roads. You're around a bunch of other people. You're endangering tons of other lives, as well as the people you're transporting. And if you're in the school bus industry, you're transporting kids, so you're responsible for, countless parents' children. And that alone, there's anxiety that comes with that. I mean, I know when I was driving a school bus, there were a lot of times the kids would just, they'd get up and even if they just started like jumping on the seats or anything, I mean, it would stress me out because if they got hurt, guess what? Even though it wasn't my fault, it would make me look bad, and I'd probably be the one at fault for it, So then you go out and you take the safety measures. You pull the bus over. You try to rectify the situation. But yeah, still my point being is you gotta, I don't know, in transportation, in that industry, you have to put a retirement cap in place. I would say at 70, because the company I was working for in Stillwater, there were a lot of senior citizens working there. I couldn't put a age, on each individual, but they were up there. I mean, at least 70 years old. And like I said, I have nothing bad to say about anybody who wants to work their whole life. That's not what this is about. This is about just overall safety. I mean, it's the transportation industry. If a 70 or 80-year-old's in good enough health, he wants to do some general labor, there should be no reason why he can't do that. But this is the transportation industry, especially with like school bus driving, transporting a bunch of kids. I just, and I don't know, this 80-year-old bus driver, he's probably in perfect health. I mean, you have to have like a DOT medical examiner certificate. So you do have to go through a very basic like physical at the hospital or the clinic in order to get certified to be a driver, yada, yada, yada. So I'm sure the guy was competent. It just, I don't know. It just has me thinking. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that area, it's for lack of a better term, it's a clusterfuck, man. It's 100 miles an hour. There's, yeah, it's like a hurricane of activity. 24/7, especially at Snelling and Summit, because you got those different colleges, you got all the college kids on bikes. I mean, when I heard about the incident Wednesday, I drove right through that intersection. I saw a news truck there, and I was thinking, okay, that's kind of strange. But I was on the phone with my buddy, and that's when he told me. He's like, "Oh, you didn't hear? There's a biker that got hit and killed there." I was like, oh, just assuming it was probably a college kid on a bike. There's a lot of college kids that live right in that area, and they bike to school or they walk to school. So I just assumed it was probably a college kid, hit by a bus driver. So yeah, to come to find that it was like a 75-year-old guy. I mean, it's tragic regardless. I mean, it's just, man, that area is one area where you need to really be on your toes and you need to really be watching, because, yeah, everybody's in a hurry. Like I said, it's like a hurricane of activity over there. It's basically, in my opinion, that area, Snelling at Summit, and Grahn and St. Clair, that whole little strip there it's like the equivalent of Uptown in terms of how much activity is there, just how chaotic it can be with all the cars, bikers, walkers, just a lot going on, too much going on, and if you let down your guard for even a second, something terrible could happen. So who knows? We'll probably never know who was at fault with this deal involving the 80-year-old and 75-year-old, but regardless, it's tragic. But yeah, I don't know. I just think probably 70 years old, there should be a cap in the transportation industry, regardless of what the job is, whether you're transporting say building materials to job sites or transporting bus loads full of kids. It doesn't matter. You're still driving as a profession, as a career, all day long, putting everybody else in jeopardy and at risk. So I think 70 years old should probably be the cutoff. That should be the cap. But at the same time, it's tough because, like I said, you do have to get approved. You have to pass that DOT medical examination. So yeah, it's tough to say, but I just think, I don't know. It's a tough one to call, you guys.